There's been a bit of misleading information about avoidant attachment style, which is usually considered a risk factor for avoidant personality disorder. I'm saying misleading because on different posts that were done on social media platform, people are commenting how they desire to be avoidant, how they want to have that avoidant attachment style. And there's really nothing healthy that you can want to have in avoidant attachment style or personality disorder. And the reason why people are commenting this way is because the definition or the fundamental problem about avoidant attachment or avoidant personality is being told as a fear of losing independence. But you see, a fear of losing your independence is a normal fear. It's a healthy fear. We experience it every single day. And I'll explain how. But in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, where we make diagnosis of mental illnesses and personality disorders, avoidant personality disorder, its fundamental problem is a fear of rejection. And that's why these people tend to suffer from social anxiety, social phobia, or they tend to have depression and other issues, because it's very hard for them to form trusting or lasting interpersonal relationships that are close. That's the fundamental problem of avoidant personality disorder. And so when we come to understand attachment styles, avoidant attachments usually begin in the first year of life. And attachment is the relationship that a child builds towards the caregiver, the primary caregiver. And the primary caregiver here can be the mother, the father, the aunt, the elder sibling, anyone who's around the child most of the time. And so there are different styles of attachment that we form during that period, but today we're looking at avoidant. Avoidant means that whenever the child has needs and expresses these needs to the caregiver, then the child doesn't get any response from the caregiver. The caregiver is unresponsive to the child's needs. And this happens, so many times that a child starts learning that my emotional needs are not going to be met by the caregiver. When I need attention, I'm not going to get it. If I need the caregiver to play with me, she or he is not going to play with me. So I need to learn to find ways to start taking care of my needs. And I think that's where perhaps the misunderstanding comes in. The child starts learning now they cannot rely on other people to care for them. So they develop a heightened sense of independence, which is different from normal, healthy independence. And so now they grow up and they start internalizing that if my own caregiver in my private environment, in my comfortable environment, cannot love me or does not show me love, then if I invite someone else from outside to see this kind of life that I live, they're probably not going to like it as well. They're going to reject it. And that's why you see that in relationships with people who are avoidant, they would go up to a certain level of connection or closeness. Once you go to the next step, where now you have to know more things about them, then it activates that signal of fear that they're going to reject me, that they're not going to be reliable in the way that they express their affection, their attention, their care for me. And so now I have to end this relationship because I cannot face another relationship where I'm rejected. And so they end the relationships. But then it's not that they want to end it because they're afraid of independence, they're afraid that they're not going to be loved. And so they're ending it before they're rejected. Now, with independence, each one of us has this fear. In every relationship that we're in, we find ourselves having to compromise bits and pieces of our independence for the interdependence in a relationship. For example, if I'm in a relationship with a friend and we want to go out to a restaurant, my friend strongly believes that we should go to, let's say, Kempinski, and I think we should go to Sankara. One of us has got to agree to the other. So I have to negotiate with my sense of independence, which is Sankara, that's my choice, that's my preference, and agree to be in a relationship with this friend and attach myself to this friend and go with her to Kempinski. So we are constantly making those choices. If I call you, you can decide whether to pick my call or not. If I text you, you can decide whether to answer that text or not. And so all these interactions that we have involve small calculations of what to compromise, your sense of independence or your interdependence in the relationship. Do you want to have the relationship or do you want to retain your independence? We are constantly doing that, and it's absolutely normal. And that's why people are saying they want to do that. They want to be avoidant. But that's not the case of avoidant. The fundamental problem of avoidant attachment style or avoidant personality disorder, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is a manual that we use to make mental illnesses diagnosis, which is the manual that we use to make personality disorders diagnosis. It puts the fundamental problem of avoidant personality disorder as a fear of rejection. And so to understand it is important because people with avoidant attachment style struggle socially, they struggle interpersonally, they struggle with social anxiety, they want to have relationships, but they're just too afraid to take the risk to be in that relationship. And so for them, they keep the distance so that they cannot be rejected. But then now they are causing the pain themselves instead of someone else causing them that pain. So they're quite lonely, they're quite isolated, they're deprived of the emotions that they actually want to experience. So it's not a nice thing that you want to desire to have. I hope that helps a bit.